Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC at one of my favourite knife manufacturers, and that's Civivi. Well, Civivi, WE Knives, they're brothers and sisters cut from the same cloth. With some new knives here, so some of these are prototypes and will be either out later this year or kind of beyond, depending on when they're out. But they've been good enough to give me quite a large selection here. I'm like a child in a toy shop at this moment in time. The table's a little bit wobbly, so I do apologise if the camera decides to wobble a little bit. But just going through some of these now, as I mentioned, so some of these are prototypes, and you will see it does say on here that they are prototypes. So just a small caveat in that they may be slightly different when they come to the market, but generally these are pretty close to what they will be when they come live. They've also been good enough to make sure that they leave the names on here for me as well, which I really do appreciate. So we've got the Tactic Cortex G10 scales, which is really nice, gets a really good grip on this. I will say that the ergos on this are nice. They've been able to curve over the G10. Has a liner lock on here that drops reasonably well, and when it's closed, we've got that nice flipper on there. But it looks like as well, I hadn't noticed that before. Is that? No, it's not. I thought that was a bottle opener for a second. It's just the detent, or it's just the stopper on the back there. But this is with Nitro V and has got a 3.7 inch blade. Might not be able to carry this legally here in the UK. Well, actually we're in Germany at the moment, but should be a nice knife for people that enjoy knives to be able to keep. Now, one that is a little bit more kind of EDC focused. So this is the Shimmer. I believe this is the Shimmer. It is, yes, this is the Shimmer. So it has an under 3-inch blade. Love that action. Another liner lock. It's almost like a kind of a mini Elementum, but instead of having a kind of a wider drop point on here, it's just a little bit slimmer, a little bit nicer. Not that the Elementum was bad, I freaking love the Elementum, but yeah, really like this Shimmer. But as mentioned, so it's a flicker and a line lock, and it will drop shut as well. And that is also, did I say, that is also Nitro V. Now, continuing with Nitro V, this has got a very sexy look to that. Okay, so this is the Star Flare. Actually, that name really does make sense. So if you can see on the handle here, you've almost got these shooting stars and the flares that come off them. But I also like this line. So I don't think really you class it as a fuller, but if you did, there's a fuller that kind of runs along the spine into the ricasso, but then that line also goes down into the scales, and the scales on this are aluminium, so that probably explains why it's nice and light. The locking mechanism on this is a button lock, and you've got some studs so that you can flick this open with that really nice kind of sheep's foot, worn cliff geometry blade on there. Very nice. Something that's a little bit more meaner looking. Here is the, oh, this is another Taxicortis. Oh, is this very similar? But it is very similar, but slightly different geometry on the scales. So I think this is continuing. Oh no, so the other one was Nitro V, whereas this one is 14C28N. So nice bump up in the steel there. Again, this is still a prototype. You can thumb flick this, although I'm not quite getting it. And then there is also the flicker on there. Another liner lock, and rather than G10 scales, oh no, they are G10 scales, but done in such a way that it almost like feels like micarta. If you can look on there, however they've done the texture to this, definitely feels more like micarta, but very nice. All of these, so the ones that we've looked at so far, these are all from Civivi. They all have your Civivi pivot pin on there. The vast majority of them, in fact all of them apart from the one that we looked at that was aluminium, have the steel liners, and then G10 or this one says it's G10. I think it's identifying as micarta, but definitely micarta. Is it? Yeah, of course it is. Definitely micarta on this one. So this is the Incendi. That's nice. Shiny Damascus on that. The blade length on this is roughly 3.5 inches. It's got a really nice kind of feel to it. Button lock as well, which will drop shut. You do have some jimping across the top here, so you can get a little bit of a grip, and it is a flick out. I don't think this is the kind of, well, I suppose you could batter this knife, but it's too pretty to do something like that to it. It looks like all of these that we've gone through as well also have has a pocket clip that can reverse onto the opposite side. This one has an actual recess that the pocket clip will go into, so it fits nice and flush. Whereas the others, they just have the open pins on the back, so if you did want to swap it over, whether you're a lefty or a righty, then you can certainly do that. Feels like most of these, with how smooth the action's on these, I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like they've all got some sort of ceramic cage bearings on here. One of the things that I do like about Civivi is the fact that you get in some high-end parts that you get on some high-end knives that are 3 times the price of these, but the vast majority of them are all within that kind of budget to mid-tier range, which again is kind of one of the reasons that I like Civivi. They seem to make a knife for everybody, but with like I say, the expensive parts and fittings that you get on some way more expensive knives. Most of these have been kind of a drop point, apart from that Warncliffe. We are going back to a sheep's foot on this one. Very kind of sax looking. This has a liner lock, and there's also a flipper on here, which I think is nice. Hopefully these will stay legal, at least with the flippers. The liner lock clearly is an issue. But G10 scales, nice and textured, so you do get a good grip on this. Everything so far is pretty much fit into my hand, so I can get the pinky on there. The smaller one, which was, what was this, the Shimmer? I should remember that. It sounds really nice. I can still get my pinky finger on there. But yeah, I do really like the Shimmer actually. It's really nice. But this one was called the Exon, I believe it's called. EXON, or is it the X1 maybe? But I like that the full has been cut into that. It's really nice. It's a nice little feature. And then you've got some really aggressive knurling here on the top, just to make sure that you're not going to do anything silly with it. Now the last few. Okay, so save 2 to last. I said I hadn't done in any particular order, but the last 2 definitely really nice. So this one is another Incendi. So that's that's the Incendi, and then you've got this one, which is an Incendi. So actually putting them next to each other, you can see that the geometry for both of these is, I mean, yeah, it's exactly the same. So with this one, you have the Damascus steel, and you also have the micarta scales on there. I haven't asked if there's a difference in price, however, I'm guessing there is a difference in price. Don't quote me on that, because with this one, similar model, but instead you've got 14C28N and G10 scales on this. The texturing on these texturing on the G10 scales, put my teeth back in, is super aggressive on this. So I think you can see, I think this is a DLC coating, so this will definitely be designed more so for the people that are a little bit more outdoorsy and want to make sure that you can keep a grip on here. I think with cold hands, with wet hands, with dirty hands, probably even also wearing gloves with the very aggressive texture on this, you're not going to have any of the issues with this slipping out of your hand. The finger choil at the front, there is quite a extended tang on that. I think again, which will suit especially if you're wanting to use this for heavier tasks when you're out and about. Yeah, that's nice. Button lock. For closing, it will drop shut, and it is a flipper tab to be able to open. I just tried to liner lock opened it. I'm such an idiot. But anyway, very nice, really nice that one is. Okay, so the last 2. Now, I'm a magpie, we're all magpies, we all look for nice, shiny items. Look at this. So this is the RS71. Look at the beautiful Ultem scales on this. I think Ultem 2023 was the year for Ultem. and I'm happy that it's continuing. Now this has a very stiletto dagger style look to it. I will say, so as far as, yeah, it's just the one sharp edge, which would make sense mainly because liner lock on this and it will close shut. You're not obviously going to want a sharp edge on that side. Flip a tab to open it. There is, yeah, you can thumb flick it as well. So what you've got is, so you've got a thumb stud on there which you can flick to open, which is nice. Very smooth bearings on this. If I guessed on all of the others that they have ceramic bearings, I'm pretty much sure that this does. So your thumb will work on the tab, but then there's also a slightly extended tang here, which I think really is more of a kind of an homage to the style dagger knife that this is, but you can use it for that as well. And then you do have some jimping on the fore end of the finger choil here as well, which should hopefully stop your hand from sliding forward. I don't think it's the type of knife that you'd probably use as a dagger. However, it's not for me to tell you what to do with your knives. You're all adults. You make your own life decisions and live by them. That's what good people do. Yeah, really nice. I need to get more knives with Ultem. I haven't got any Ultem knives at the moment, but I need to up my game. I need to up my Ultem game, and 2024 has to be the year. Now this last one, WE Knife. Really like the look of this. So this is called the Night Blade. A couple of nice materials on this. So on the scales for this, pretty much everything that we've looked at is either very kind of traditionally the micarta G10 or the Ultem that we saw on the last one. Titanium scales. There's just something sexy about titanium scales. With this, so it reminds me a lot of the Banter. It's very similar to the Banter, but the difference with this one is that there's no thumb stud on this. I guess if you wanted to, there's plenty of aftermarket thumb studs that you could add, but instead it goes for a very gentleman's folder. I'm trying to do it with one hand, and it's the wrong hand anyway. There is a nail nick or a thumb nick on this. Makes it easier to open with one hand, and I don't know, just that kind of gentleman's folder kind of idea. You're not in a rush. Who needs to be in a rush when you're a gentleman and have a nice knife like this in your pocket? But the material for the knife blade is CPM 20 CV, which again is nice. The length of the blade is under 3 inches. In fact, it is 2.98. So, you know, they've been as close to it as they possibly can do. Oh, they do have the prices on here. They have got the prices on, I probably should have said. So this is probably going to retail US wise for about let's call it $170. I'm guessing that's probably going to be down to the fact that you've got those titanium scales on there. It has a access style detent on this to keep it open. Yes, you can if you wanted to. If you are in a rush, you can flick it open. But again, I think with it feels more refined, like a gentleman folder. Love the spacer that they've got on this. I'm not sure what material that it is, but it says it says on here, it says DBK. Is this a collaboration with the Dutch bushcraft guys? Okay, that's really cool. If it is, that is pretty cool. But anyway, it's nice to see that they've kind of worked with some manufacturers. If you want, I'll quickly go through the prices then. So this first one, which was the Tacticorix, so this is going to be, it says now it's going to be $53. Again, so a lot of these are prototypes, so some of these prices may change. The Shimmer, $50. I'm rounding these up, $49.98, but $50 for that. I think that's going to be that's really nice for a small, just EDC pocketable knife. You know, it's there. The Star Flare, this is coming at $72, which were the two that was the same. So these two were the same, well, very similar. With this one being micarta and Damascus steel, this is coming at $97.5. And then, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So the one that is 14 C28N, this is coming in at about $67, $68. Nearly tried to line a lock then again because I'm an idiot. It was actually these two that was very similar as well, wasn't it? So slightly different blade geometry and the clip points on here. Whereas with this second model, this is 65, whereas the version here, this one was 53. I think the difference in that will probably come down to the steel, won't it? Yeah. So that was Nitro V, and then we're on 14C28N with this one. The daggery style one with Ultem is coming in at $102. And then the last one, this one was the Exxon. This is going to be about $59. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, and I really do stick by this, it's one of the things that I like about Civivi WE Knives is the fact that the vast majority of these were all under $100. There was one that was above $100, which was this one, which was about $170. But all of these, okay, $102. All of these are mid-budget to mid-range knives, but you've got some great steels, you've got some great manufacturing, and you've got some great parts on here. Other knife manufacturers that aren't adding these kind of features are still selling knives for twice this price. So yeah, super cool to come to the Civivi and WE Knives stand. Just want to say thank you to everybody here, all of the staff here that made me feel welcome today. Stay tuned for more from IWA with more under EDC. As soon as I can get the content out, I will make sure it's available to you. So yes, enjoy watching.